So welcome to another board game review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're taking a look at Sniper Elite, the board game, from Rebellion Unplugged.
Yeah, you mentioned a board game review, because
Yes.
this is a war-themed board game.
Yes.
Based on an IP.
Yes.
Right? A video game.
So, Sniper Elite, very famous computer game. There's been 5 of them now. I've
never played them.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're right up my alley. But so I've played the first 2, and I think I own the 3rd. Or I'm playing the 3rd right now, and I own the 4th as well.
So let me ask you a question, and you might want to edit this out, because I sound like a total moron. Your laptop can run it?
Yes.
Is it on Steam?
Yes, it's on Steam.
I maybe need to look and...
Especially the older ones, because the graphics still hold up decently.
Okay.
And you don't need a lot of power.
Right, because you don't have 15 units.
Yeah, and the original one is
around.
literally like almost 15 years old now.
Okay.
So like it's you almost anything could run some of those old ones, and they're still good fun.
Okay, we digress.
Yes.
But...
So David Thompson and
Roger
Tankersley, they've teamed up to design this 1 to 4 player kind of hidden movement game. So
one versus
everyone else. However many players you got. There's a full solo module, but we haven't played that. But there's like a little solo deck of cards that you use for the AI of certain things. But we played it 3 player a few times. Mm-hmm. So we had one person pays the sniper, and then you divvy up all of the defending squads between everyone else.
Yeah, there's 3 different colors of German squads, and you can each control one, and then you share the other one.
Yeah,
and you actually coordinate and communicate a lot.
Yeah, if you play it 2 player, you just control all 3 of those squads. If you play it 4 player, one person has 1 squad each. Yeah, and that way you get maybe a little bit of inter-command rivalry kind of a thing, and maybe some imperfect cooperation, which is fun.
And interestingly, while we haven't played it 2 player, I almost think that might be the sweet spot, right?
Yeah, it's really good probably at 2, and at 4 as well would also be great. 3 was totally fine too.
Yep, it worked very well. I always like in these kind of games, because you are tracking hidden movement. You don't have a miniature that you're running around the board. You do,
but he's not on the board.
You put it out only when you take a shot, or
you get
we
busted.
Do a spot check, so you have to track the movement. And I really liked. We played together once on the same side, and then I played with Mike, who played it with us. And it was fun to coordinate amongst each other and say, okay, could he have been here? And discuss that.
Having someone to kind of talk it through with
is cool.
To make sure you're not going insane and bounce your ideas off of, well, what would be good? What's a good way to defend against this? Yeah, that's always fun to do as well. So, and I also think we haven't played a lot of these hidden movement games. I think the only other one that we've played is Hunt for the Ring, which is the Lord of the Rings themed one.
From Ares Games.
Yeah, and it's got some similar concepts to it that this does. And I think...
And we really enjoyed that game.
Oh, yeah.
We played it with our father-in-law. It took us a while to get the hang of it, and I think it took us a while to get the hang of this.
I felt like this was much easier to learn.
I agree. That one had a little more complexity to it.
Yeah, this rule book's very streamlined.
Yeah, it was also a bigger map. While this is a big map,
yes, it had more spaces.
It's a different style of game. So you're correct. We have not played a lot of hidden movement style of games.
Yes.
Another one that we played was that sub game. They Come Unseen.
They Come Unseen. Yeah.
Where the sub player, is it the Americans? They're moving their subs underwater and choosing movement behind a screen. And then the Soviet player is running around with destroyers trying to.
I felt like that
them.
had a very small map. It was very difficult to stay hidden in that one.
It did. And that game was very cool too. Because it's a unique mechanic. It's a mechanic that you don't see a lot. Yeah. And it creates a lot of. There's a lot of angst.
Oh, yes.
Where is he? What did he do? Where did he go? Where did he go? That to me was the best part of it.
Yes.
Not really knowing what was going on, but guessing, he's here, and just very cool.
And I love games that have imperfect information in them, where you're given a certain amount, it's not enough, it's not a complete picture,
and you have to make a call.
Yeah, you're making suppositions based off of that, and trying to make the most appropriate calls to corner someone, or to really get to them. And this has that in droves, whilst being extremely easy to learn.
Well, and the imperfect information, not only the hidden movement, the guys also got 3 cards in their hand
Yep.
that can be very powerful.
And you don't know what they are.
Yep. I mean, you know that I think there's 10 of them in the game.
Yeah,
so
and there's only 6 types.
Right. But you're like, okay, he could have moved this many spots, which normally makes a noise.
Yeah.
I think we've got him around us, but he could have easily moved by us, or he didn't move at all and he just stayed there. Now, you don't have enough time to really not move. You can't not move often as the sniper and hope to win the game.
And that's the thing with this game, is you've got a lot of German units on the board, so they can kind of cast some nets, so to speak. And you've got 1 sniper miniature, and he's very stealthy, creeping around.
Yeah.
And he marks his movement on this little
which is
glossy
really cool.
off-map board that you keep secret of, this is where I am at the end of this turn, at the end of this turn.
This pen was very nice too. I
appreciated a good pen in the game.
We never had a problem
very
with
rare.
this. Yeah.
But doing that, very asymmetric sides, very asymmetric in the kinds of things that you're trying to do, and yet still, for both sides, I played as the Germans defending that first game, and it was like, okay, well, he could go this way, like trying to corner them, and have you done it, or like he does something extra, and it's like, oh no, we have no idea where he could be now, and like, has he gotten away? Is a very similar type of feeling from when you're the sniper and you're trying to do the getting away, and you're like, please don't move into my space. and you can see them thinking about it of like, oh, if I go here, I could do this. If I go here, do this, and like, and you're like,
and you got to hold your face, right? You've got to have a stone face.
You're like, this is coming down to a coin flip of which one they're going to go to, and they pick the wrong one, and it's hard not to go.
Yeah. Well, I will say this also. I tried not to peek. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
I played the defender both times. You and Mike were the snipers on different times. And I didn't look at the board. So I didn't want to see him writing down here. So we did a very good job of trying to look away.
Trying to be fair.
And the same thing happened when we were guessing and having our conversations. I kind of looked at, first we were together, so I looked at you. I didn't want to look at Mike because, man, that's hard to keep that.
Yeah.
It is so hard to keep a stone face when you're sweating bullets and you're trying to get away, and I didn't want to ruin that.
And for some groups of like hardcore poker players, that might be kind of like the level of the game that you play at, where you're like stone cold looking at each other's eyes and like, we're doing this, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
And then just wait for them to break. But the rules actually say, like, you know, don't watch them do it.
Yeah.
Try to be fair about it. Because it ain't that serious of a game.
Because once again, this is how big it is. If
I'm
you're writing down
corner,
here, you're like, okay.
You could be holding it the other way around. You could be that guy.
I don't know how you're going to do that because that's hard to track.
We were holding it in a box.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever noticed. I would do lots of fake writing in all the different corners.
I didn't notice because I wasn't looking.
So I would recommend
Yeah.
And I would.
Well, you got to decoy
in between turns. I was constantly just pretending to write things and do little different.
Well, you were erasing and changing your route. I know how you are.
Oh yeah. All of that.
I played games with you before.
I'll win at any cost. But like, you can add in those little bits and pieces to try and. But the rules are like, come on. Don't be trying to win that way, because that's not the spirit of the game. So,
but I could see players who want to play that way, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, you can be like, that's part of the way that our group plays it, and we're going to be pretty hardcore about it. In that case, build a Great Wall of China around yourself. Yeah. And that's how you're going to end up playing.
But the game in and of itself creates its own tension. You don't need to be fakely creating some other kind of staring contest or. It's fun enough and interesting enough without that.
Yeah, because the big thing about this game is, it's this little hidden movement, stealthy game, but you are against a very short clock.
Yes.
You have 2 objectives to complete, which are dealt to you at random.
Mm-hmm. And so technically, one could be in this corner.
Yep.
And the other one is all the way in the other corner.
And that's exactly what it was when I played.
There you go.
2 opposite corners of the map, which is as far as you have to go, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
That was when I was dealt those. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. And you ended up winning.
Not good. Yeah.
You ended up winning.
And it was very close.
As the sniper.
But you've got 10 turns to complete one of the objectives, and then it resets, and you've got 10 turns to complete the other one.
Yeah.
And if at any point you haven't met those criteria, you lose.
Yep.
Or if you're ever wounded twice because you've been cornered and they've attacked you twice, you die that way.
Which I think our first game ended in that way. Yeah. We shot him twice. Second game, the honest truth is we had you 2 or 3 different times, and you used what to get away?
I used both a Tommy gun to kill a bunch of guys.
Killed everybody, like 2 dudes in a row.
I was able to take 2 shots with that, which cleared a path.
Yeah.
And then
because we had you boxed in.
Yeah, then there's a card which, what is it called?
Allowed you to move without...
sound masking.
Yeah.
Which, normally, if you move 0 or 1 space, you're silent.
Yeah, you don't make any noise.
If you move 2 or 3 spaces, which can be very far on the board.
Yeah.
If you ever, at any point, were adjacent or moved next to someone, you have to say, hey, they heard a noise.
Yeah, yeah.
And that can be the place where you start, the place where you end, or any of those spaces in between. If at any point you were adjacent, you have to say, so that's a way that...
Yeah.
You have to move around people, or you got to risk it and go through it, or you have this cool card that's like, cool, I could move a really far distance, and I basically ignore all those adjacencies. So I would normally have had to have given away my position, but for that one move, I was able to get away with it.
And that's an honesty thing, right? It's the valor of the players. You know, you have that card and you could lie and
you could
use it 3 times.
But why are you playing with that person?
I don't know why you would do that.
And I tried to write down explicitly when and where I used all my cards, because that's half the fun of it. Is once you've done it, you're like, oh man, this is what I did. I was crazy. I got cornered over here, and then like I did all this stuff. Like that's half the fun of it, is recounting the story of the game. Because even if they win, the German players not necessarily sure of what on earth you were doing.
Yeah.
And so getting that little kind of after the game debrief is always, that's half the fun of it too.
So when we did end the game and we flipped these over and we looked at them, that was very interesting. It was very cool to see, oh, okay, you moved there and I knew you were there, or we thought we were there.
And when we won, it was a very different type of story.
Yeah.
Because Mike revealed his board and he was like, oh, I made a mistake by staying still and doing a little bluff over here. And I'm like, we'd cornered him. And he tried to go back a different way. But the time is so pressing that it's hard to futz around for a long time. You've got to be fairly direct.
And really, that's the only way the game would work. You could literally... Because here's the other thing. I move into your space where you're the sniper. I don't see you, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're concealed. It's assumed that you're concealed. You're hiding in a box. You're laying under a tarp. I can move in your space, and I have no idea you're there.
Yep.
You can also move through my space or into my space, as long as you didn't move over the one move.
The sniper player cannot move into or through these guys. No,
I thought you could.
So that's how you can set them up blocking. Like, you have to go around a different way.
You just killed them then.
Yeah.
You just shot them.
But you have to...
You're right.
Moving
I
into the sniper area isn't enough. You have to move in and spend an attack action to wound them. If they're there, which you don't know.
And the Germans, while they have 3 squads, each of those squads only have 2 things. They can move, they can search, they can sweep, they can attack. That's it.
Yeah, they can bring guys back onto the board if they're in the areas.
Deploy, I think is what it's called.
So you got 3 guys and 2 actions, and a move moves one of your guys to space.
Well, and a move. Here's one of the keys to the game, and we talked a lot about this. The sniper can move up to 3 spaces.
Yes.
They give themselves away. If they walk by anybody, they make noise. If not, and they're away, you can move 3 and there's no real
if you're over this
penalty.
side of the board, you can just run as much as you want.
Well, you run 3 spaces.
Yeah.
But the Germans can only move 2 spaces. So they can never move more than 2. And that's a big part of the game. I think if it wasn't that way, I think it would be too easy to track down.
Yeah, they've got the slower movement but the greater numbers.
Yes.
And so the way you play this game is very different between the 2 sides.
Yeah.
In a very enjoyable way.
Very asymmetric.
And like you said earlier, it's... The sniper does something, and then it's like, okay, we think that they were here.
Yeah.
They didn't announce that they moved by anyone, so that means they could have moved
0 or 1 spot.
Or here.
So these search cubes become pretty important. There's only 10 of them, and I don't know if that was intentional. Like you only have 10.
No,
maybe they should have made like 12 or 13.
Yeah,
but
So we're all sat here putting out these tracking cubes thinking they could be in any one of these spots, but they couldn't have gone further than that. And this talk back and forth is why it is enjoyable doing multiplayer, of like trying to figure out, okay, well, this is what's happened. I'm not going crazy.
Yeah, and the thing about the sniper, they cannot shoot once they've moved, correct?
No, they can't.
Okay, why am I thinking that there was some other...
The leader sniper can't do that.
The leader sniper can't do that. So it's like, when they shoot, you know they were in their spot because they're revealed. Not always. That's not true.
No. If they pull noise tokens...
We played this like 4 days ago.
But also, if they're... Like... Because they're going to pull a certain number of tokens from this shot bag.
Yeah, and that's based on the distance.
And they're looking at distance from where they secretly are. Well, that was a terrible pull.
Well, we never really saw a terrible pull like that.
And so, but like, if the sniper pulls, you know... I only pulled 2,
You're one
and
or two
only
spaces
one of those was a noise token. Mm-hmm. You have to be in that person's space.
Yeah.
If you pull 2 and you've got 2 and they remove someone from the board, they have to be in that space or adjacent.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of know, but if they start pulling 4 or 5 and they've got 3 or 4 in there, like, they could be frankly anywhere.
Well, and really, the way this bag is constructed, you're encouraged to draw as many as you can, frankly.
Within reason.
Within reason, because you're looking for, it's how many distance you are away from your target that you need these target markers.
Yes.
So there's only, I think there were 6 in the bag to start.
6 in the bag, 3 misfires, and 2 noise, I think is what it is.
So 6, 3, and 2 is 11. So more often than not, 60% of the time, 55% of the time, you're going to hit.
Yeah, if you're taking shots at like 1, 2, or 3 range away,
you're going to hit.
And you're pulling, 4 or 5, you're probably going to hit most of those.
So that was another thing that we talked about. The makeup of the bag is pretty interesting. And certain of the guard abilities, like the search, the spot, when you spot and they were in that spot you looked at, you then throw one more of these noise tokens in.
Yes.
So
but you have to know they're there.
I know it's hard,
and
it's also
every time the sniper kills someone, they get a target token in there, which makes it easier to hit the next guy.
Yep.
And so they shoot the next guy, and they get another one in there.
And then what were these called? I can't remember.
Those are suppression tokens.
Yeah. So these go in when you kill one of the leaders.
Yes.
One of the German leaders as the sniper.
And those cancel a noise token because if you're pulling 2 noise tokens, you reveal yourself on the board because you've given yourself away because it was too loud.
It was too loud. Whatever you did was too loud.
But if you can kill a leader and you've got a suppression, that's going to cancel one of those, so it's much harder to give yourself away in that way.
That was, once again, we talked about the bag, but doing those abilities put some extra noise tokens in. But we also talked about you don't get many shots. If you know he's there, just attack there.
Yeah.
Because when you got to move in and attack, right? Unless you have,
and that's all of your actions
you move
for that
in,
squad.
Then you attack. That squad is done. The Jaeger, I believe, attacks.
He can attack
an adjacent. So we never used him. We used some of the others, which were very, very cool. That one might be a good one. And the other one that was interesting was that sniper for the Germans.
Yeah.
Because they could shoot as well. So they're going to pick a cube, thinking, "Oh, that's his spot. I'm 3 away," as long as they have line of sight.
Yeah, you say, "I'm going to take a shot at this space."
Yeah.
You pull from the bag, and if they hit, the sniper's like, "Yeah, you got me."
Yeah. You wounded me, one of my 2.
At which point you stick them out on the board. Yeah. It's like, cool, they're definitely there.
Yeah.
And then it's like easier to then find them again.
Yeah. But once again, I mentioned these search cubes. That is really I think one of the very cool things about the defense is using those to identify, okay, he could have gone here. He really couldn't have gone there because of how far he went. He's here. He could have gone here, here, and here. Okay, that's where we believe he is.
Yeah.
How are we gonna? Yeah. How are we gonna get?
How are we gonna corner that? Yep. What are we gonna do? Oh, my guy's on the other side of the board.
Yeah.
Great. Useless.
So strategizing how to surround and advance upon and threaten and contain is one of the best parts of the defense. Now the other side, the sniper's trying to figure out how not to reveal themselves, to move cagily.
Yeah.
And get to those objectives. And I don't know, there's a lot of that cat and mouse, very cool, a very enjoyable game.
Yeah.
I had a good time
without
with this
being extremely complicated.
No.
Like, the rules are 6 or 8 pages.
Yeah.
If that. And it plays in 45 minutes, which is what the back of the box says.
Well, and while the rules aren't difficult, I think the nuances of understanding how to do things, and because that first play,
how to do it well, at least. Yeah.
Well, that first play, both sides made several key mistakes. Mike revealed himself one time when he made some comment.
Yeah, he said...
It's like, oh, you can't say that, man.
And I kept saying, when I was a sniper, I'm like, okay, I'm going to shoot this guy, which you're not supposed to do.
Right.
I say, I'm going to take a shot, and then I'm going to pull this many things, and then you remove the guy.
Yeah.
Instead of announcing, I'm going to kill this guy, because then if you miss and nothing happens...
we don't know who you were shooting at.
But like, now I've announced it, great.
So those are the nuances that playing it... And we played it twice. I think that third time we would have been much better. I don't think we would have made those kinds of mistakes. Although, the other thing I really enjoyed about this game was... The base game has 2 different maps.
Yes.
Right? You have the sub pen, and what was the other one? It was
launch facility.
A launch facility. So they're very different.
Oh, very.
Sub pen is very open, has multiple buildings.
Which is funny, because it has a sub on it. This is the launch facility.
I know, and that's what confused the sub pen, which is interesting. But the other one, the launch facility, had elevation. So there were... catwalks.
Yeah, there's like a raised catwalks area. There's like fully blocking terrain as well. There's ladders to go up and down.
There's tunnels to go under and through the
different kind of map.
But I thought that one, I called it the more challenging map for the sniper.
Yeah.
Because, and actually for the guards as well, because there's only a couple of spots if you're on the ground floor, to traverse under the catwalk.
Yeah. Or finding those ladders to climb up.
Yep.
It artificially makes the map
a little more challenging.
Longer, which is hard for everyone.
This one, the launch facility felt a little easier. I'm not gonna. I would say that this one was more introductory. That one was more of a level up.
And they say start with this one.
Yeah, and we learned the game. I think we made some mistakes and learned from those mistakes. But it's a good game. I really think this is an interesting game. It's not a war game.
No.
It's a war-themed hidden movement game. But it's very cool and very unique.
I'll regularly say, when we're not playing war games, I want to play a game that gives me something more. And this, when I was playing as the sniper, I was sat there and my heart was beating very fast. Mm-hmm. It was very tense as I was making my escape, having been cornered, and was like, oh, I've lost this game very quickly.
Sure.
And then some things happened, and I made an escape, and it was like, am I going to make it? Because the net was closing in, and I'm like, oh! I was so nervous, and I'm like, that's what I want in a game. It's very give me some feeling.
You take away that Tommy gun card.
Yeah.
You died right there.
Immediately.
You take away the suppressed sound, or whatever it was called. I think we got you on the north side of the map, or wherever that was, But those cards are cool.
But that also tells you how important those are. I tried to use different ones than Mike could use, just so we could see more of the game.
Yeah, to learn.
And that was cool. Laying down a little S mine just to get a guy.
It killed one of my guys. Yeah.
And
there's silenced ammo that
different bits and pieces
reduces noise if you pull the recoil or the jam.
Yeah.
What are they called?
The noise tokens.
Yeah. 2 of those S mines, the sound masking, the trench gun. Man, the trench gun was
he trench gunned us. It's just this big shotgun.
We literally had 3 guys around him, and he was totally surrounded. and he trench gunned and got all of us.
And then ran away, and we were like, oh no, we may have just lost.
And the trench gun is so powerful because you don't draw from the bag.
No, you just remove them.
You just smoke them. So the one we didn't use was the rock. And it's like a little distraction. Move an enemy up to 2 spaces must be within line of sight when they end their movement. So it's like you pitched a rock over there and they're like, huh? And they moved over there.
But on some of these maps, line of sight is a long way.
It is. It is.
So you can be very clever with some of those things and how you use them.
So very cool. I enjoyed those cards while I hated them when you used them against us to get out, or Mike did.
Without them, you
couldn't do it. I'm not sure you could do it.
Yeah.
The other part of the game that I really liked was the different abilities of the German leaders, squad leaders, or whatever they're called. Very cool that break the rules of the game. Like the radio operator, you can pull anybody's dead guy, close to you.
And you don't have to be in your area.
Yeah, which
normally
is very
you divide it into
important.
these sectors that you're trying to do intel on.
Yep. The Jaeger could shoot next to him rather than just the only space. We didn't use the scout. The sniper was pretty cool, although we never saw it necessarily benefit.
Successfully.
I thought the medic was very nice. 2 times during that game, you can basically save a guy from the sniper's shot. Worked out very well and helped us really corner you, and then you snuck away. My favorite was the Kennel Master. Putting those dogs, dropping
the little guard dogs.
Yeah, the little guard dog, the German Shepherds, right?
Of course.
They're German Shepherds.
Naturally.
Or as the Germans call them.
Shepherds.
Shepherds, there you go.
Yeah.
Very cool, because you drop that dog, they can't be killed, but they act as an early warning.
It's a little trip alarm. If they go through it or into it, the dog goes woof woof.
Very cool. I thought those were very fun, and enjoyed exploring them. We played, I think, almost every one of them with the exception of the scout.
Yeah.
So
and we've got the Eagle's Nest expansion to play as well.
We'll play it.
Has another 2 boards in it. It's got 4 different unique snipers.
And does it have more of these guard guys?
I don't remember offhand, but it's got. I think it's got a couple loadout cards.
Okay.
And then it's got its own
solo
of the objective decks, because those are obviously different for each one.
The interesting thing about the objective decks was if you ever drew 2 of the same suit, so they're like poker cards.
Yeah, and
right?
they're divided into suits that correspond to the 3
areas.
kind of colored regions.
So if you drew 2, well, that's not a good example, 2 clubs, and that was the 2 cards you drew at the beginning randomly, you can't do 2 in the same area.
Yeah, that would indicate they're both in the red area.
Yeah.
So you have to discard one of those and draw another one until you have 2 different ones. That basically forces you to have to move across the map.
Yeah.
And for it to be way too easy.
Yeah.
You just pop 2 next to each other and then you win.
I thought that was well done. Just once again to keep the game. Because, if you got the objectives in the same area, that would be, in some ways, a cakewalk.
Oh, yeah, every time. You just pop in here, I pop this one, it's over.
I mean, it still wouldn't be totally easy, but it would be a cakewalk, relatively speaking.
But I had a very fun time playing this. I like the theme. What I would say is that I don't know if this represents the video game as accurately as maybe I would have wanted it to.
And I can't comment on it because I've never played it. So.
Because when you think of Sniper Elite, having played it a bunch, the thing to me there is you do a little bit of fighting, crawl your way slowly into a position, just being as silent as possible. Doesn't matter how long it takes.
Yeah.
And then it's taking that one long shot all the way across the map to get the target.
Yeah.
And,
And you mentioned timing your shot with an explosion or a church bell going off.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm zooming in as far as possible. I'm slowing my breathing with the key.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you take the pop, and then you get the bullet cam, which is just like...
The kill cam.
Great.
So, like Skyrim,
Oh, yeah.
That's always the best part.
It's
you shoot an arrow across the map and it's like, ooh.
Very similar. The bullet just goes, shh, and then it goes into his face, and it's like a cross-section of his skull. And it's like,
mature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, that Sniper Elite, in this one, it feels a bit more of, a race against the clock, where, you're rushing, doing it very stealthily.
Yeah.
But you can't just sit here and crawl around for a second and shoot someone across the map.
No.
That's very difficult to do with the bag if you've got to go that many spaces and you haven't killed a bunch of people before.
I do want to say this because we keep talking about the timer. The timer is 10 rounds.
Yes.
So it's not like, and once you complete that first objective, let's say you did that first objective in five turns, which is easily you can do it in 1 or 2 sometimes.
I think Mike did it in 3, and I think I did mine in 4
maybe. Then it just resets, and the last turn it's still 10 rounds.
But if you don't complete any by that first 10,
the game's over.
Yeah.
So I don't want everyone to get the impression that it is tight.
I think it's very tight.
But there is time. You just got to plan your route, and you got to get it done.
But the time pressure is so strict that you can't dilly-dally.
No, you can't.
You've got to move.
Yeah.
You've got to keep moving. And that just, to me, is a little bit different of a flavor from the video game. It's
Got
still
it.
really cool, and I had a good time doing it.
So I played a game, I think, when I was a younger man called Thief, and it was the same kind of thing where you're crawling around in the dark, you have a bow and arrow and a knife, and you're trying to wait for patrols to walk by you, then you're moving on, and ultimately you're trying to kill one target. So similar style of video game, I think, probably made by totally different people, or maybe, but this game is not necessarily those, but it gives you that feeling of the hidden movement, trying to move around, and I just think it's really fun. I'd like to take this to a convention and get a 4-player game of this because it's light, right? It's
and very quick.
Unique,
like,
and 40 minutes.
It says 45 minutes on the box,
and that's
we played. Like if it goes the full length, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
If someone dies very quickly, it's 10.
So we played. I think we played 2 games in 2 hours. Because we were learning the rules, we discussed it quite a bit.
And then set up in between.
Yeah.
Because we changed maps.
But it's also a great looking game. The art's great. Actually, I think that looks like David Thompson a little bit, but that's my opinion.
That's from the front cover of the video. What I did like and appreciate is the game has the metal miniatures, and these come pre-washed.
Washed, yeah.
And so it just emphasizes the relief on them, so they look really great from across the table. It's not just a grey army man. They've got like a black wash on them, so it brings out the detail so that the person who sculpted the miniatures isn't just getting hosed with like, some grey plastic. Like, we can see some of the effort. Yeah. Some of them are really nice.
Great production value. It's really a nice game. So I'm glad we got a copy. I'm glad we played it. I want to play particularly the Eagle's Nest and just see how it changes it.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the Eagle's Nest has like, you have to go and, you can go and assassinate Hitler. Like, I'm pretty sure
part of it.
I think that's one of the objectives.
We will have to get around to playing that, and maybe we'll do a review video of that one once we play it. But I would like to keep this one around because, like I said, you can always have a good light hidden movement game.
Yeah.
That's cooperative in some ways, but competitive as well. Get it out at conventions and have a good time.
Yeah, really high quality components. Sniper Elite, the board game from Rebellion Unplugged. Check this out if there's something you're interested in. Appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander from PlayersAid.com.
And I'm Grant.